Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Fire It Up with CJ show. Today we have Bob Rosenbaum, who is the author of Walking the Way 81 Zen Encounters with the Tao Te Ching. Every single day I'm thinking, what did I get done today? I need to get more things done. I didn't get enough done today. And I think we're, as a society, just programmed with these messages. What does the Tao tell us about more is better, getting more things done? What's the wisdom that it has to offer us?
Well, if you imagine you have a bell and you
Hmm.
keep putting stuff into it and putting stuff into it and you strike the bell, it doesn't sound as good.
Yeah.
Um, when you pour more and more into a vessel, there's no room for the vessel to function. Um, so if you just keep on doing more and more, there's a kind of how do you ever feel satisfied?
Hmm.
I have fairly recently I started a practice where I noticed when I was eating. I'd be putting food onto my fork while I was still chewing the other mouthful. And I said, what would happen if I actually finished chewing one mouthful and then picked up my fork and
Yeah.
put the next thing in? And what I found was I could eat less and feel more satisfied because I really tasted each thing.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And I'd say that's true in general. I don't think that if you have 14 children, you're 14 times happier than if you have one.
I can guarantee that's true. That with two, I can't imagine having 14.
Well, what if each of your actions is a child?
Hmm.
Because they are, actually. Each of our
Yeah.
actions sort of sends out ripples
Right.
and engages us in more and more things. And sometimes you can spoil things by adding more.
Yeah. So
So,
it's interesting. So here's what I'm taking from this. I'm I suffer from this affliction of trying to add too many things. My day is back to back to back to back to back. And so instead of just moving from one thing to another, stuffing more, pouring more water or, pouring more things into the bell, doing one thing and then like, I just had a wonderful radio interview with Bob,
mhm.
soaking that in, appreciating it, having so much gratitude for you, the universe, everything. Probably that would probably, and then instead of rushing off and doing like 10 other things, probably just appreciating that one thing that you have done off of your list versus adding more things onto your list.
Yes, and actually, speaking as a neuropsychologist for a moment, that's the way our nervous systems are wired.
Huh.
Do something, and you do something right after that, your body and mind don't consolidate the previous action as
Mm.
much. You don't remember it as well. There's something called retroactive interference. What you do after something uh, wipes out some of what you did just beforehand.
Right.
And what you did just beforehand bleeds into what you're doing next. So, from a neuropsychological standpoint, if you want to learn something, you do it not for too long because we have our attention flags.
Hmm.
You do it, you stop, you pause a little bit, and then you go on.
Right.
And it does sink in more. You know that in most of life, it takes a little time for, say, to brew tea. The tea has to absorb the water, it has to suffuse the flavor. Same thing with coffee. Things are not instantaneous. Well, we're a little more complex than a tea leaf, you
Hmm.
know? So if some experience comes to us and we need time to process it and absorb it and taste it and then figure out what to do next.
Yeah. Interesting. I love that idea, I think. What would you say to the person who says to you, well, okay, fine, Bob, that's great. I'll try to appreciate the things that I have on my plate so I don't have to keep on doing more, but I still have a lot of stuff to do. Like, well, right? There's still this attitude of I still have a lot. I mean, there's still this attitude of I still have more. I still have more, even though now I'm more satisfied with the things that I am doing. People are still demanding things from me.
Well, it depends on your phase of life and your life circumstances. If you're working full time and you're raising two kids, uh, you have a lot to do.
Right.
That's just true. But um, we have this mistaken idea that there's a fixed amount of time to do things in.
Okay, what's that mean? I only have so many hours in the day, Bob. What's that
Actually,
mean,
that's
Rob?
not quite true.
Okay.
The way we arrange our hours, now I may be going off topic a little bit,
Yeah.
but the way we arrange our hours is for our convenience. Originally, it was for our convenience.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow we've gotten the idea that the way we arrange our hours is what's real,
Hmm.
and that's how much time we have. In fact, the Romans, who ran a pretty large empire for a pretty long time, had a situation where they said, well, okay, the amount of daylight we have varies from day to day. There's more light in the summer, more darkness in the winter. So on any particular day, they said we're going to take the amount of light that we have available and divide it into 12, and there'll be 12 hours of light. But the hours were different numbers of minutes long every single day.
Whoa.
And it was very efficient because they divided the time that they had in reality rather than the time that a clock said. So,
Hmm.
for example, I was saying to some doctors who I was meeting with recently, and they have schedules where they schedule patients every 15 minutes on the 15 minutes. And I said, does every patient take 15 minutes? They went, no, of course not. I said, right. Why are you scheduling them every 15 minutes then?
Right.
Why don't you look at your schedule the day beforehand and go, gee, maybe I should ask that person to come in at 10 after the hour because they only need 10 minutes, and this person needs 50 minutes. I'll ask them to come in at this time and arrange it so that it actually fits the flow of what you
Hmm.
need and want to do.
Right.
So that you take charge of your time and what you're doing. Things take as long as they take, but we try to cram them into fixed slots.
Ah, right. I'm supposed to go pick up a blah, 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 and then there's traffic and I have to run into carpool. And then we freak out.
Right.
Versus it will take the time that it will take.
And which is real. If you're stuck in traffic, it's going to take a
Right.
certain amount of time. And
Right.
all I've got to do this, I've got to do that, I've got to do that. I actually had a transformative experience when I was in graduate school doing my residency, kind of.
Hmm.
In those days, before PDAs and iPhones and things like that, I kept all of my schedule and to dos in a little notebook that I
Yeah.
kept in my shirt pocket. And one day I lost the notebook.
Oh
And
Lord, help me. Yeah.
my whole life, I'm like, why was I going to do it?
Right.
But you manage, you get by. And about 3, 4 months later, I came across the notebook. I went, wow. So I went back through it and I saw, well, what did I miss? And I saw there were a lot of things on my to do list which I hadn't done, and nothing bad had happened. That oddly enough, the things which really needed to get done
Got
got done.
done. Yes.
And it was something of a revelation.
Yeah.
We overvalue. We attach too much importance to each of the things when life sorts itself out.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I think all of us should lose our appointment books, just lose our phones to realize that it really does, life does sort itself out.
People existed without appointment books.
Yeah, or iPods or
Or,
whatever, or iPhones or schedules. I mean, I had that. My computer went down for like 3 or 4 times this last month, and I mean, there were literally times where I'm like, nothing is synchronized properly, and I know we had an appointment. I'm sorry,
yeah,
and people are like, yeah, I had that with my computer. I'm sorry too. Let's
and
reschedule. Like no one died, nothing bad happened.
Yes. And so, generally speaking, people are understanding.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if we had a little bit more understanding and compassion
Yeah.
and a little less expectation that people are going to respond like our iPhones, push the
Right.
button and it automatically gives you the answer,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
uh, we'd have a pleasanter time of it. And I like to say to folks, um, you think you have so much time, but you are the time of your life.
Yes.
That's what you are.
I love it. That is a perfect note to end on. Seriously, it's all about you are the time of your life.
Yeah,
We forget that.
we forget it.
We just keep on trying to jam more and more things, not appreciating the things that we have done,
Right.
and not realizing that a lot of these things that we think are so important, not so important.
And something which takes a few seconds, the way your eyes meet with somebody, can affect your whole life, the
Yeah.
whole rest of your life. And something which takes a long time and you prepare for winds up not being important. It's not the amount of time
Yeah.
that determines the course of our lives.
Mm, beautiful. So we have Robert Rosenbaum, who has written this beautiful book, Walking the Way. And I described to him that it felt like a warm cup of tea, very soothing. And it makes you, and as we were talking earlier about tea, it has the calming properties of tea, where it's a reflective moment of going on the inside and recognizing not only your personal truth, but I think a universal truth, which is in the Tao Te Ching. So thank you so much for your time. What a wonderful
Uh,
guest and beautiful
but
person you are. Hey, thank you so much for listening to the Fire It Up with CJ show. I hope you enjoyed the show and that you learned something or found something that you'd like to try out. It means so much to me that you're listening to the show and would love your support in any way by giving me comments below or to subscribe to the show or share the show with friends. Thank you again for your support. Love and blessings.